Okay, thank you, Kim. And I'd like to welcome everyone to the March meeting of the Durham Region Branch of Ontario Ancestors. And I'd like to welcome all our new and returning members and also non-members. And I hope that you like our great presentations. So here's tonight's agenda. We're going to do a few announcements or news, and then we'll get to our main presentation, Forged in the Flames of War, followed after by a brief mini presentation about the Internet Archive website. And then we'll do some upcoming meetings just to let you know what's going to be happening. So when you want to ask a question, or if you have technical problems, open the chat window, go down to the very bottom where you would normally type your message. There's a blue bar that you would click on, and make sure you choose Ontario Ancestors Host, or that's for the technical, or questions for the person who's monitoring the questions and comments. That will be me. And I forgot to change my name to questions, so I'll have to do that after Jennifer starts her presentation. So there's a lot of branch webinars coming up in March. Here's just the first week. Make sure you get yourself signed up for the e-weekly newsletter that comes out every Saturday morning, and you'll be able to see events there. Or you can look at the OGS events calendar. The monthly OGS webinar in 2 nights is Janice Nickerson talking about an Irish War widow in Upper Canada. And just a little bit about it. When Upper Canadian militiamen died in the War of 1812, what happened to their wives and children? And how can they be traced without civil registration, census, probate, or cemetery records? Well, Janice is going to use a case study, and she's going to tell us how. And coming up at the end of June, June 24th to 26th, is our Ontario Ancestors Conference. It will be virtual. And the theme is the past, the present, and the future. And make sure to save that date on your calendars and be ready to register once they open the registration. So joining us tonight is researcher, author, and speaker Jennifer DeBruin. With deep ancestral roots in Quebec, Eastern Ontario, and colonial America, Jennifer has a passion for researching and sharing the stories of ordinary people who experienced extraordinary history. With a focus on North America from the 16th to the 20th centuries, she seeks to expand the understanding of our complex history from a variety of perspectives. Author of 3 fact-based historical fiction novels based on North American history, Jennifer is currently writing her first nonfiction book based on her popular presentation, Loyalist Espionage, and will follow this with her 4th creative nonfiction. She also writes historical pieces, which have appeared in several publications. In addition to her research and writing, Jennifer has been a professional speaker for over 20 years. She is an active volunteer in the historical community, and her most recent venture is an historical podcast, The Awakening, which presents information that expands the historical narrative and our understanding of the past, present, and future. Please welcome, as she presents this riveting, complex, and heartbreaking story of the captive ancestors of Northern America.
Thank you.
So do you see, you'll see there's a link there, archive.org, and that's the only one you need because the archive is very well organized and they have links to everything right off their main page. So I'm going to, oh my goodness. Okay, so people know about the Wayback Machine more than they know about the rest of the Internet Archive. So I'm going to be talking about several parts of the Internet Archive, but the one that was the first one to be started was the Wayback Machine. And so years ago, when people started putting resources online, and they were mostly just plunked right onto websites, and genealogists would find these wonderful resources and start using them for sources, and then they would go back later and they weren't there anymore because maybe somebody, whoever had put the website up, had stopped paying and it had gone away or something like that. And of course, genealogists, like other people who are writing up material that needs sources, they need permanent sources. And so the Wayback Machine is a way to take websites and make them permanent sources. Okay, so this is the main page for the Internet Archive here, and you will see, can you see my mouse when I'm pointing or not?
Yes, we can.
Okay, so you can see along here, this is not a live website, but if it were, when I moused over it, it would show that, you know, there's documents and video and music and sound and computer software and all kinds of things. And when you would click on one of those, it would go to that particular collection. Okay. Now, you might have noticed that I have made myself an account and logged in, but you don't have to do that to use the Internet Archive. But there are some places where there's an advantage to it. For instance, if you wanted to contribute to the Internet Archive and upload things, then you need to have an account. And also there are some of the projects that they have where there's copyright materials that are only lent and not given out. And so then you have to have an account for that. Okay, so the Internet Archive is a nonprofit, and it's in the building it's run out of a building in San Francisco, California. And as you can see here, it has, well, at the time I copied this down, it's probably more now, 625 billion web pages, 38 million books, 14 million audio recordings. And this is of interest to me, almost 250,000 live concerts. So being a musician, I enjoy that. 7 million videos, including 2 million television programs, 4 million images, and, well, a lot of software as well. Okay, so this fellow, Brewster Kahle, he and some of his co-workers started something called Alexa Internet. And Alexa Internet was for rating web pages to see which ones were the most popular and which ones were the most used. And in order to do that, they had to write software which crawled through all the websites and collected information about them. So they started keeping that information in a database, and soon they figured, well, they had all this information, maybe they could make more use of it. So they started going through complete websites and just capturing everything that was on them that they could, and started, pretty soon they needed a lot of storage space. Then in 1999, they started supporting other digitization and preservation projects. And the first project was the Prelinger Archive of Films related to American culture. And you could do a whole topic on that, but I'm not going to. It's only a 10-minute presentation. Okay, so in 2001, that's the first time that people could use the Wayback Machine to access all the information that they'd been collecting since 1996. Okay, so how would you use the Wayback Machine? Well, there's two things that you can do with it. First of all, you can find old content from websites that's not there anymore. And the links that are in the Internet Archive are permanent links. They don't change. And so if you found some content in 2009 and it was on the website page then, you can go back and look in 2009 and find it again and make a URL that links it and use that as part of your source citation. So, however, not everything on every website is captured. If some websites that have a lot of layers, it doesn't go to the bottom. And some website owners put up a file called robot.txt, which says don't come here and don't crawl through here. And the Wayback Machine respects that. Also, some content is being made on the fly from data that's being pulled out of databases. And so that's different every time you type something. And so they can't capture that. And some information in databases isn't captured either. So there are limitations to it. Okay, so this is what the Wayback Machine would look like. And I just typed in chart attack because I use the Wayback Machine a lot when I'm editing Wikipedia, and I tend to edit music articles. So Chart Attack was the name of a magazine that used to be on the internet, and now it's gone. And so I was able to find the old issues and use them for sources. So you can see each year how many times the Wayback Machine has looked at those websites. And so in 1999, here in February, it looked twice at the Chart Attack. And I was able to look at the magazine. Okay, so that's what it looks like more recently. So, and this is my own website, how it looked in 2008. You see my hair is a different color. So anyway, and I was able to find information about the 2008 DeLong family reunion, which is no longer being advertised on my website today. Okay, so this is what my website looked like today. So I could have looked all through those different years and see what it would look like. Now, at the top, you can see that my web page has not been crawled through nearly as often as that magazine. Here's our local computer club. And this is what their website looked like in 2000. And it sort of looks the same today. And also, you can look at a website and you can go around and see all the different pages on the website just by clicking on parts of this circle here for every year. Right, so this is some of the data that it collects. And there's the Chart Attack magazine. Okay, so I'm going to go on now to some of the other projects besides the Wayback Machine. And you can see that there's quite a list here of different projects that they have going. Some of these would be interested to genealogists and some maybe not. But I don't know if you were interested in the political TV ad archive, unless you have a politician in there. The open library, though, should be of quite interest to everybody. And this is a very project with a very large library of books, many of which you can borrow. They're trying to make a web page about every book ever written. Now, of course, they'll probably never achieve that, but they're doing their best. And then Book Server is one where you can borrow books from libraries that are connected to the Internet Archive project. I borrowed a book for an hour one time. Okay, and they keep their data on these huge servers. Yeah. Okay, so here's the open library, and I like science fiction books, so I typed in the name of one of my favorite authors, and I can see that I could see all these books that are in there. And this is where I had to make an account to log in to do this, because this book's not off copyright, so they only have limited copies, and I could read the book. Okay, and this is Archive It. The Archive It project is set up so that organizations that want to archive things, but maybe they don't have the wherewithal to do it, and the Internet Archive will give them services that help them scan and organize and make databases and put their collections online. One of the things that they do is provide storage space for scanned documents that maybe are too large or too frequently used for the websites of the people that want to do it. For instance, this is the Toronto Public Library. The Toronto Reference Library has all the digital Toronto City directories, and the older ones that are not too big are on their own website, but some of the larger ones that are frequently used they've put them on the Internet Archive, and that does two things. First of all, it makes an extra copy, which they really should keep a backup anyway. And secondly, all the traffic of the people looking at the Toronto City directories doesn't go through the library website and slow it down. Here's what one of those city directories looks like. And if you haven't used the city directories on the archive.org, then you're in for a treat, because of course city directories have so much information. So here are some of the collections that they have on archive.org, but they have hundreds and hundreds. I just picked just a random page to show, and you can collect on any one of those. And the live music archive was very interesting to me personally. They have the moving image archives. So there are many old historical films and as well as black and white televisions, shows and all kinds of things. Well, you can see that there are millions of them. You never look at it all. Okay, just some examples. And finally, they have a software collection, which is probably of less interested genealogists, but very interesting to people like me who enjoy that sort of thing. Okay. All right. So now I don't have a slide for this, but one of the things that you can do with the internet, with the Wayback Machine, is if you use a website for a source and then you go to the Internet Archive and it's not in there, you can, if you type in a URL that's not there, but it finds it on the web, it would say, do you want to archive this now? And it'll add it. So if you're going to use something for a source, you might just choose, even though it is on the internet, to go to the Wayback Machine and make sure it's in there so that people can find it later. Okay, I think that's all I have to say about that.
So that's the end of your presentation, Anne?
Yes, because it was only supposed to be short, so I could have said
Okay.
more, but I was trying to condense
We
it.
can always say more. Well, that was a wonderful recap of all sorts of resources there on the Internet Archive. And it really is worthwhile having a look at it, isn't it?
Well, I think the main point for genealogists is that if you want to use online resources, you got to be able to find them later. When people read your documents that you've made that have sources at the bottom, they've got to be able to find them. And I've been so many times, I've heard people say, oh, all you have to do for that source is just put the URL. Well,
Yeah.
usually not enough.
Yeah, no, it's not enough. So someone say, okay, Deborah's asking, can you please repeat the archive website now processed? I'm sorry, that's not making a lot of sense to me. So maybe Deborah can fill out that question a little further in the chat.
Well, the URL, the only one you need to use that is archive.org.
Okay.
That's all. Everything else, all the collections are available from that page.
Okay, and it's archive, not archives.
No, just archive.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. I'll just go to share. Oh. Didn't Anne say something about being able to archive a current website?
Yes, in fact, Dan was trying to explain that to me here. He's next to me. Okay, so when you're on the Wayback site page, all right, let's start at the beginning. So you use a website as a source, and now you have its URL, and you want to make sure that you can find it later. So you go to the Wayback Machine and you put that URL in the Wayback Machine. And if it's already in there, then everything is fine. It'll find it. But if it's not in there, it will immediately come up and say that page is available on the internet. Would you like to archive it now? And you just say yes.
Perfect.
Okay, so if it's already there, then there's nothing to do. But if it's not already there, then it'll, and it's on the web, it'll ask you if you want to, and then you just have to say yes.
Perfect. Thanks so much, Anne. We really appreciate you stepping up with the mini presentation today. Thanks so much. It's so interesting. Okay. I think I'm back up showing my slides.
You're in your presenter view, like we're seeing the main slide with the
RootsTech.
smaller slide. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So
No,
I
you
have
need,
to
sorry, you need to switch your views, Nancy.
switch my views. Sorry.
We're seeing your notes.
Oh, my notes.
Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting. We'll just try and fix that here. Is that better?
That's better.
Okay, great. Thanks so much. Okay, RootsTech Connect 2022 is just 2 days away. March 3rd to 5th, virtual, fully free. Make sure that you have created a free account with FamilySearch.org. And by doing that, that gives you this all access version, which gives you some extra things like creating a personal playlist. There's a chat feature with experts and friends. And there's a feature called Relatives at Work at RootsTech, which I played around with a lot last year. And it was so much fun. So for that one, you do need to have built your family tree and got it up to the point where it connects to an ancestor that is in the collaborative family tree on FamilySearch.org. Living people are hidden except the attendee themselves, who has given permission when they sign up. It's really interesting to see your cousins from that line. I saw all sorts of third cousins 3 times removed and 6th cousins and 5th cousins last year. Little far away, but it was very interesting, and you can collaborate with them. They have some wonderful keynote speakers from all walks of life and a lot of different countries around the world. As of this afternoon, 516,000 plus registrants, representing 195 countries, and it is the biggest conference in the world. If you aren't signed up yet, now's the time to do it. It's going to start Thursday evening about 8 p.m. Eastern time. I think I've done the conversion from Mountain Time correctly. Our next meeting, 5th of April. Cher Latouze is a local Durham County author, storyteller, historiographer, as well as a family researcher. She has presented many topics over the years to our branch. And next month will be a brief overview of the various genealogy resources across Canada, told in her own inimitable style. Cher has written countless books on many topics: local histories of old Durham County, military guides to research in Ulster, Devon, Cornwall, about the Bible Christians who came from Devon and Cornwall, nursing sisters in World War I, British home children, cookbooks, gardening, and even some fiction. And if you want to check her out beforehand, her website is cherlatouze.com with this spelling. Don't forget the extra E. Sometimes we are researching our families. One of them goes missing. Before you jump to conclusions and check death records, why not check out other provincial archives? Here in Ontario, land was taken up at a rapid rate by the first waves of incomers. So when the sons and daughters were ready to take up land, there was little left. So to make a life for themselves, they went further afield. She has found many Ontario people out west in the later 1800s. So Canada has some great archives, and she's going to present a good cross-section for us and give us a list of URLs and email addresses. So we're looking forward to that one. In May, we've got Scotland from Abroad, The Next Level by Bob Dawes, another favorite presenter of ours. I believe it was 2 years ago he did Scotland from Abroad. This is the next level with brand new resources. So there's been a lot of change in Scottish research in the last few years. So that will bring us back up to date. And in June, we've got DNA guru Mags Galden explaining how to use the GEDmatch website. Our DNA special interest group will be meeting March 16th. If you wish to attend and get on our email list, send me an email, nancy.trimble@gmail.com, or you can send it to durhamchair@ogs.on.ca. And I'm going to use my usual invitation to put your spare time to use for us. We need Tony indexers, cemetery recorders and checkers, typists. And above all, I'd love to have a publicity coordinator who can put us on more social media sites. If you are appreciating the great speakers that we have, I do invite you to make a donation to the branch on the main page of our website. This will link you right through to Canada Helps, which will immediately email you a tax receipt for anything over a certain amount. I think it's $5, but I'm not sure. And we've had some great donations already this year, and I want to give those donors a big thank you. This helps fund our speakers, and it is really helpful. So here is our our office and library. We're located in Northminster United Church. Our research team is able to get back into our library and is welcoming research questions. They've been doing stellar work through the COVID restrictions, and don't hesitate to send your questions to durham@ogs.on.ca. And this is our other information, our website. We do have a Facebook group, and we do have a blog. So that's it for tonight. Thank you, everybody, for attending. I do have a final comment, and that is that archive.org is a fabulous website. I use it all the time, but I don't think I knew about the digital collections. Thanks very much. And that was from Deborah C. So on that note, I thank everybody for attending, and we'll see you next month, hopefully. Thank you very much.